Okay. And I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to play the PowerPoint from PowerPoint. Okay. All right. So, can y'all see that? Is it big across the screen? Okay, I hope so. All right. So, wait, where is the thing? Sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. So, what are we going to be covering today? So, a few things. This may be information overload. Hopefully it's not. I'm going to share my presentation with you afterwards, and also I will share the video. So we're going to first cover how to log in directly into IMathAS, because I personally think that's the best way to make any adjustments in IMathAS, because sometimes doing it through Canvas can throw things off. So I'm going to show you that. Then we're going to review the current assessment settings in IMathAS. We're going to talk about how you can change some of those assessment settings to fit your class. Then we're going to look at how you can create your own assessment in IMathAS using existing questions in your course. How you can view your students' submissions. How to give individual students extended time. I actually learned how to do this week, which it's so easy. It's even easier than it is to do it in Canvas. And then how to link your newly created assessment to your Canvas course. Now, every single one of you may not even need all of this, but I just wanted to kind of use this hour to just get this information out, and then feel free to use what you think would be useful to you. Okay, so first off, if you didn't know, you can log directly into IMathAS by just typing, I can just start typing imathas.valenciacollege.edu, but if it's your first time typing that, you may have to do the http://imathas.valenciacollege.edu. That's how you would log directly into IMathAS. Your username should be your Atlas ID username. And then when we create your IMathAS account, your default password is the word password. And then once you log in, you are free to change your password. So some of you may have changed your password and you know what that is. Some of you may have never done that. So the password would be the word password without, the quotation marks. If you try to log into IMathAS today and you type the password you thought it doesn't work, you type password and password doesn't work, just let me know and I can very easily reset your password. It is not your Valencia ID password unless you made it that. So IMathAS, login doesn't connect with Canvas login or Atlas login. All right. Okay. So once you log in, you'll see some courses that you're in. You won't see all these courses that I'm in, but you're going to select the course you want to work on. So you should see maybe about a couple of semesters worth of courses. So you would choose the course that you want to work on. So I created a demo course I'm going to use today. And I'm going to kind of go back and forth from my PowerPoint to actually working in IMathAS. Okay, so first off, I want to talk about the current homework settings. Just want to make sure everyone is aware of what the settings are, so that if students have questions, you can explain to them, clearly. So most of your homework settings are set to where this is called skip around, to where all the questions do not appear at once. They appear like this listed to the left, and they can skip around and click on a question and work on it. So it says this attempt is 1 of 3. So that just means that they have 3 attempts for this particular question, this particular problem for question number, in this case, 1. The way we have it set is that for every one of these 3 attempts, they will get the same problem. So, say they work it out, they get something wrong. they can attempt that same problem again. Hopefully they can look at their work, figure out where they went wrong, try to answer it, and hopefully get it right. After that third attempt, if they still get them wrong, IMathAS will tell you the answer automatically. Then they can try a new problem by clicking on try another similar problem, and they can try it again. They also could, let's say they see this question and they want the answer immediately, they can click on jump to answer, and IMathAS will tell them the answer, and then it will then allow them to try another similar problem to try it again to get the credit. So basically, I just want to make sure you guys understand that our homework settings are set to where they do have an unlimited number of attempts to get credit for each question, but we have it set to where they have 3 attempts for each problem for that question, just so they're not, trying forever on the same problem. And we don't want them to get frustrated. They get the problem wrong and there's no incentive to find where they got it wrong, what they did to get it wrong, because the next problem is going to be totally different. So you guys may have already known that, but I wanted to make sure that was clear before we talked about changing stuff up. All right. Okay, so let's say that you want to change some settings. All right. So the way that you would change settings in any assessment in IMathAS, I'm talking about homework in this case, but IMathAS doesn't distinguish whether this is homework, quiz, test. They just know them as assessments. So you should see this little wheel to the kind of bottom left of any assessment in IMathAS. When you click on that, now for my computer over to the right, like the total opposite side of the screen, a little menu pops up. And so a few things pop up. I'm just going to focus on what we're talking about today. If you click on settings, that takes you to what I'm showing you here. All right. So there's a lot of different options and settings in IMathAS. I am not going to try to explain them all. I don't even know them all personally, but I'm going to focus on the important things that matter to you. So of course you have a password option, which for homework you probably wouldn't have a password. You have a time limit option here. 0 minutes stands for no time limit. And we're going to talk more about time limits for your tests or final exam. Display method for homework is set for skip around. If you have something that is a test or a quiz, you're going to probably want to change that to full test at once, but I'll show you what that looks like in a second. If it's grayed out, that means in IMathAS that you can't change that anymore. And the reason why it would be grayed out to where you can't change it is because if a student opens up that assessment, then it kind of locks it. So basically you can't, change the points for a problem after students have already started an assessment. And you also can't give it a default penalty percentage if they've already started an assessment. So that's why it would be grayed out here. But if they haven't started it and it's a brand new assessment that hasn't been worked on, you wouldn't see anything grayed out. All right. Feedback method for homework. This just shows you, this is for your view. Homework, show score in each question as it's submitted and allow similar question to replace missed question. That's basically the option that allows it to give them another version, try a similar problem after they do all 3 of their attempts. And then show answers, we have it set to where after the last attempt, after that 3rd attempt, or they can jump straight to the answer button. All right. Something else I want to show you, and let me stop for a sec. Deanna, are there any questions I need to answer before I jump to something else?
Hey, Johnie, I have a question.
Yeah.
I just tried to log into IMathAS, and it's taking me specifically to one particular homework section, which is something that I did this morning when I was making a video for my class, but it won't, I can't get into what you've got right there where you can look at all of the IMathAS stuff. it literally is taking me to one homework, and I don't know what to do. So,
yeah, I think what's happening, I think so. I think what's happening is that it thinks you're a student because you probably clicked on something maybe in student mode in Canvas. So the way that I've fixed that is just clear your cache and cookies in the browser, and then it will it'll stop thinking you're a student. And then you should be able to type in imathas.valenciacollege.edu, put your username and password, and get in there the way I just did.
Okay. All right. I will try that. Thank you.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work, just buzz back in. Okay. Something else I want to mention in terms of what you want to make sure students know is that I'm just going to open any assignment. All of your assignments in IMathAS should have this option, and it's what they call math. I think they call it math quill. Let me choose something that has. Okay, well that's a bad example, but so in a fill in the blank, this yellow arrow, if students click on that, it allows them to select characters that are difficult to normally type. So in the past, we've had to be very specific and tell them how to type an infinity, how to type a square root, and those rules still apply. But now we have this option here with this yellow arrow, and I just want to make sure that your students know that it exists, because that was something that we used to really annoy us about iMath, is that you had to type so much. But now they have updated to where you can actually click on this yellow arrow, and it will give you like a square root option. I'm trying to find one that has that. And the options depend on what you need, for that problem. So here's a perfect example. So let's say I was trying to type the square root of, this is obviously not the answer to this question, but the square root of, x, y, whatever, to the power. You can do that now just by typing it in using the yellow arrow, as opposed to typing SQRT, open parentheses. So that's just nice for students to know if they don't know that already. I just wanted to be sure and show you that. If you have an assessment that doesn't have that, go ahead. Somebody said something? Let me go back. Okay, cool. Sorry. All right, let's go back. Where was I? Okay. Let me go to my little PowerPoint. Okay, so quiz settings. So I'm thinking most of you have this set for your quiz settings. So one thing with IMathAS is that it does not have the ability to take the highest grade of a full assessment. So you know how you would, especially for quizzes, we say, oh, you have 3 attempts for this quiz and we're going to take your highest score. Well, IMathAS doesn't know how to do that. It doesn't have that ability to do that. And if it does, we haven't figured out how to do that. So if you do a full test, it's going to, and you give them multiple attempts, it's only going to take the last score. So the way that we have found a workaround to still give students that kind of experience to improve their overall score is to have it in this setting. So what I'm showing you now, bless you somebody. What I have showing now is what it would look like if a student submitted an assessment, in this case a quiz, that's full test, and we're allowing them to improve their score. So I press submit as a student, and this is what pops up. So it tells me my score. I've scored 4 out of 10 possible. Some questions are have partial credit, so that's why it's 45%. So they're going to see these 2 options here, and what's below would be all of their questions. They can see them again. So if you want students to know they have, multiple attempts to improve their quiz grade, you want to make sure they know to choose this first option. So reattempt assessment on questions that can be improved where allowed. What that means is that if they click on that, IMathAS will only show the questions they missed. So then it's going to say maybe 2 out of 3, they're on their second attempt of the questions that can be improved where allowed. And so that way they can only improve their grade. And then they can try those problems again, press submit. This will show again, and it'll hopefully have a better score. And then they can again choose the first option, reattempt assessment on questions that can be improved where allowed. And it'll say probably 3 out of 3, they're on their third attempt, but it's only going to show the ones that they have still missed. If they choose the second option, that's fine. It's going to just show all of the questions. So they won't know which ones they got right or wrong. I'm not sure if it marks it. It may mark it, but I don't think it marks that they got it right or wrong. So they won't know if they're changing a problem they got wrong or got right or vice versa. So just let them know this first option is what they want to select. And we have what I'm saying to you. It should be in the settings at the top of their assessment. But again, it's good for instructors to know this as well, so you can answer student questions. Okay, yeah, I already said that. And this is what it looks like on the instructor view. So, remember, display method, full test at once. That means that they're going to see all those questions. They're not going to see just the little menu to the left, like the homework was set to. And then the feedback method is reshow question with score at the end of the test. So that just means that it shows their questions at the end. It shows their score, but doesn't give them the answer. Now, this is important. Time limits. So another quirky thing about IMathAS is that when you set a time limit on any assessment, the time limit is for whatever total number of attempts you have your assessment set to have. So what that means is, I don't think I worded that right. If I want them to have 60 minutes to work on each attempt. Well, IMathAS is not going to do it like that. It's going to say you have 60 minutes to do your 3 attempts. So if they open the quiz, the timer is going, and they submit it, and they have their second attempt, IMathAS is still going to be counting down. It's not going to reset the timer. So that's important, because I'm pretty well, I don't know. If that's how you want it to be set, then you can put a time limit and say you have 3 attempts within the whatever time limit to, complete your quiz. But just know that the time limit in IMathAS is 1 time. And then the only way that they can reattempt something, a full test with the new time limit, is if you clear the attempt and they start over. I'm going to show you what that looks like later on. But I know that's been something that's kind of quirky, and I just wanted to kind of mention that here. All right. Any questions before I move on? Okay. All right. So, assessment settings to consider changing. So, remember, you are in IMathAS, you click on that little wheel, settings wheel, you pop over to the right and choose settings. So, let's look at some settings that you may want to consider changing under these new circumstances. So, you've got show by date. So, let's say you want to have a due date in IMathAS to where, they can't access this anymore after a certain date, or you want it to be available after a certain date. That is what these dates here are for. All right. Now, keep open as review. This is a nice feature in IMathAS. Let's say it's for a quiz, and you have a due date for a quiz, but you don't want students to be able to work on it after that due date and get credit, but you're okay with them working on it and review. Then you can, change that option here. So these are some settings that if you want to consider changing, you can. If you want to leave everything open until the end of the semester, then you can leave it as always. That's totally fine. I just want to kind of show you what that looks like. I forget I did these little fancy animations. Okay, so this is probably somewhere where you definitely will have to consider adjusting, especially for a test or a final exam, because remember, it's highly unlikely we're going to have proctored online testing. So if you want your students to be able to access an assessment in IMathAS, either you will need to give them the password, or you will need to remove the password, make this blank. All right. Time limit. If you are giving students, a take-home IMathAS assessment, I personally strongly encourage you to set a thoughtful time limit. And what I mean by thoughtful, I mean, think about that they are at home and they will have who knows what type of resources there with them to help them complete the assessment. So just be thoughtful. So, I wouldn't give a time limit that's unreasonable, but I would give a reasonable time limit for any test, and especially the final exam. And honestly, I'm not even sure. I haven't even thought about the final exam in terms of a time limit. I'm almost thinking 2.5 hours might be a little long. I don't know that. Let me not say that on video. I don't know, but just definitely think about the time limit. And then in that case, if you check this box here, kick student out at time limit. So once that time limit ends, it kicks the student out. So I would definitely check this button if you're going to put a time limit to an assessment, because if you don't, they can continue. It will say that it's over time, but it's not going to kick the student out, and they can continue to work on it. This default penalty, I've never used that, but what that just means is that if you want to, give them a penalty for every missed attempt, you could do that. But if I were you, the only ones I would really think about would be the password and the time limit. And then if it's for an assessment that they only should have one attempt at the assessment, then you would want to make the attempts per problem 1. All right. Okay, so let's look at some fun stuff, new stuff. Let me pause for a sec and make sure there's no questions I need to answer that Deanna is not handling, but I know she is, because awesome. Looks like we're good. Okay, cool. Oh, Nina's got a question. Sorry that screen looks so crazy, but I don't know another way to record where I can save it. Okay, so let's see, on the chapter test, since at home, the anticipation is killing me. Let student have more than 1 day to take the test. Yeah, so you can definitely give them, so for my online classes, they have in the past used the testing center, but I have given them a week time frame to complete a test. So I say the test is going to be open on this day and it's going to close on this day at this time, and you have that week to complete that test. So, and then because we're not using the testing center, I probably would say you've got till 11:59 p.m. that night to do that. Marciela, I'm going to show you guys how to give students more time in this webinar. It's so awesome. You'll be so happy. So it's coming. Thank you for asking that. All right. So now you don't have to make your own assessment. Okay. I just know that, especially in intermediate algebra, some people like to have 4 tests. Our template has 3 tests. So I just wanted to kind of show how you would do that. If you're not interested in this, just kind of look. But yeah. So if you wanted to create your own assessment of IMathAS, I'm going to actually just click through and show you live, because I think I can be a little more efficient that way. Okay, so this is my demo course. I want to make my own assessment. So you can be fancy schmancy and write questions and all that jazz if you're, really good like Deanna and others. I don't know much about that. I've learned slowly, but you can actually use questions that already exist in the IMathAS course. So what you would do is that you would go to add an item. So you would start it really at any page in your IMathAS course and add an item, and you would add assessment. All right. So once you add that assessment, it's now ready. You're going to give it a name. So fake assessment, whatever you call it. The instructions that students will see would be here. Students see this. And then you can, set your settings now if you wanted to, or you could wait until you create the assessment. So I'm going to now create my assessment. So where do I get these questions from? So where you get the questions from, so IMathAS has like a whole bank of questions, but that gets very overwhelming to me. That's what this libraries option is. My suggestion is to select from assessments. So if you choose this option here, select from assessments, that basically is choosing from the assessments already in your course. So let's say I want to make a test for chapter 6, the quadratics chapter in intermediate algebra. So I could go down and select all of the homework assessments for chapter 6 that I want to include in my test. So this is going to basically give me the option to use any of these problems to create a test. Or maybe you want to grab questions from, the quiz or whatever, but you're choosing already existing assessments in your course, and you're saying, I want to choose questions from these assessments. So you choose them here after you select from assessments, and then we're going to say use these assessments. So we're going to click there. And so now what's going to happen is that these assessments questions are going to pop up. So 6.1, 6.2, they're all here. So what in the world is this question? I don't know from looking at this. All you would do is click preview. If you click preview, it will show you what the question is. If you want to, take a look at the answer, click show answer, and then that is the question. So if you want to use this question in your assessment that you're creating, you could click this button and mark question for use and close out. And you see this is checked here. Or you could check it, at this point, you could check here. But preview allows you to look at the question, and then you can check the box to choose the question to then add to your assessment. So you go through, you choose the questions that you want, and then now I'm ready to add. So I'm going to add questions. Now, at this stage, this is where you would adjust any question settings. This is where you would assign point values to the questions. And then this is where you would also maybe not want to show any hints for these questions. If it's like a test you're making, maybe you don't want the default to be yes to show hints and video buttons. You can also edit this if you click settings, but you can also do it while you create the assessment. Maybe you're going to have 10 questions. You want them all to be 10 points. The default is 10 in this case. You can leave these blank. If you want each of these to be 1 point each, you would just put the points that you want in there, or 5 points each, or whatever it is that you want to do. If I want them to say no, you say no, whatever. You can actually create question groups. That's what this option is. So once you're ready, you add questions, and I'm really skimming over this, guys. I'm just kind of trying to show you the basics if you wanted to do this. And so now I've created an assessment that has 6 questions, and there's 6 points each. So the total point value for my assessment is 6. All right. Again, you can preview what you just, added by clicking preview. And you can change the order around. Let's say I want for this question to be the first question. I can choose this option and make it question 1, and it changes the order around. Let's say I change my mind and I don't want this question anymore. I can check this box and say remove. Are you sure you want to remove it? Yes, I am. And then it's gone. Let's say I want to continue adding questions. Well, the questions that I asked, the assessments I pulled initially are still down here. If it's grayed out, that means that you have already selected that question that's in your assessment. So that way I've already have that question. And you can keep adding questions. Let's say you want to choose more assessments to get questions from, you would, under potential questions, you would select assessments. So once you've got your questions here in the assessment, you can choose done. And then you have upped your IMathAS game. You have created an assessment. So if you click it, there it is. So my settings are set to skip around, so I don't want it to say that. So I'm going to go back, and then you can change the settings. So remember, click the wheel and see how it's over here to the right. It's really weird. So this is where the options are. I'm going to select settings to change the settings. If I want to add more questions, I would choose questions, but I'm going to change the settings. And I want this to be maybe a test, so I'm going to maybe make it available after a certain time until a certain time, and then I want it to be full tested once. I want, 1 attempt, and I want it timed. I want to give them 60 minutes to complete this test, and I want to kick them out when they are done. Okay. Save changes, and then you can just click on it to make sure. See, this assessment is time limit 60 minutes. Click OK, and the student sees that, and then there we go. You have just made a test. All right. So went through that really quick, but I just kind of want to show you, you can make an assessment, and it's not that scary. You don't have to learn coding. You don't have to write questions. You can use the questions that already exist in your course, and that's nice for students too. You can let them know these are questions you've seen. If you do your homework, if you do your quiz, then you'll, be able to see, practice and know what's going to be in your test. Something else, let's say you want to make a review. So maybe your review is going to be similar to your test, but you want to add more questions. You can actually copy an assessment. So let's say this is my assessment I made. I want to go to the setting wheel, and go down and say copy. Where is it? See, it's the exact same thing here. So now I don't want it to say that. I want to click on the settings, and I'm going to select settings first, and maybe rename this to review fake assessment. Now, of course, we are not going to just keep this exactly the same, because that's not appropriate, right? So we can maybe add more questions. And that would be, my personal belief is that a review can be a bit more extensive than the actual formative assessment. So we're clicking on questions now. And so now we're wanting to, add more questions. So I have to tell this where I want to get the questions from. So I finished that first, session of making the assessment. So these are just, unassigned questions that range from who knows what. And I think it's based on the person. So they're all local for me. So you may not even see all these options. So that's where you select your assessments. You decide where you want the questions to come from. You do the same thing, and you add more questions. So I'm going to stop there because I want to move on to viewing a student submission. So first, are there any questions? Doesn't look like it. Okay. And then again, I'm here if you got, oh, go ahead. Yes.
So now that we've created it in IMathAS,
how do you link it? I'm gonna tell you.
To Canvas.
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
You're such the star student, Wendy. All right.
And clearing the cache and cookies works, so thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I know it's annoying, but that's the only thing I've known to work. Okay, so I am going to show you how to link it because that's crucial. Where am I? Okay, so sometimes you want to be able to see what the students submitted. You want to see what their answers were, not just in Canvas in the grade book. You may want to look at what they actually typed in. So the way that you would do that is that you would go to the grade book in IMathAS. It's going to be on the left-hand side under Tools. You click on that. So let me show you what that looks like in your grade book in IMathAS. Let me go to the main page. Okay, so it's going to be here on the left, and you're going to select Gradebook. So you should see all of your students. I've got some practice students here. So you should see all of your assignments here. You should be able to kind of filter it by category. This is a demo course. I've got a lot going on here. Let's say I only want to look at Chapter 1. So you can kind of filter it. So you want to see what a student actually submitted. So I want to see what Johnny's student actually did for this assignment. So if you see IP, that means the student is currently in the assignment. So that's what that means. Don't freak out if you see that. So if I click here, you click the score, you can actually see what the student did. So you can see when they started it, when they last changed it, how much time they spent on it. So you can actually look at their attempts. This is helpful if sometimes IMathAS gets kind of quirky, especially for graphing problems. You can go down and see what they did. Maybe if you want to give them credit for, maybe they didn't reduce the fraction and you're feeling generous and you want to give them some credit, you can do that manually in here. Sometimes it took my answer here correctly, but sometimes it gets weird where if I didn't exactly put it in the right spot, it would not count it right. But it's kind of difficult to use a mouse and graph. So if you see that yourself, you can give them credit. You can just click full credit. It changes that to full credit, or you can erase it and give them whatever credit you want. So that is how you would actually see what the student submitted. So you would go to Gradebook, click on the actual score, and then you can see what they submitted. Now, if you want to completely clear their attempt for whatever reason, you would click this option here, Clear Attempt, and it tells you what that means. Clear everything, resetting things like the student never started. They will get a new set of questions. If you click that, sorry, it's my son and his iPad. If you click that, it's even going to say, are you really sure you want to do that? Yes, I am. And then it clears it out. Now, once you clear it out in IMathAS, it's gone. So you can't say never mind and get it back. But those are probably the only things you may want to use by looking at a student's score in IMathAS. Wait, let me tell my son to go in my room. Hold on. Micah, go in my room, baby, because I'm on a video call. Take the iPad in my room, okay? Thank you. Isn't working from home great? Okay, so, all right, so extended time. So how do we do that? So I'm going to go back to the course here. So we've got our students who sometimes need extended time on assessments. So this is how you can do that for individual students in IMathAS. So we're in the main page of IMathAS. You're going to click on Roster. So if you click on Roster, you're going to see your entire roster of students. You would click on, so if you see this little, well, let me not tell you what that is yet. So I'm going to click on a student's name. I'm going to click on Test Student because it looks most how your students will look. This is how their login name will look. For whatever reason, we have to change this. You have to delete that dash like this. So you delete the dash in the username and you look at time limit multiplier. So if this student needs time and a half, I'm going to change that. For whatever reason, I can't backspace, but I can highlight and just type 1.5. If the student needs double time, you would change it to 2. Update info. So again, change the time limit multiplier and you have to get rid of the dash here. I don't know why, but you do. And I have tested it and it still works for students to still access IMathAS. Update info. And what happens is that that student, now any assessment that has a time limit, it's going to be adjusted based on that time limit multiplier. And then in your roster, it has a little clock there to let you know that you've set a time limit multiplier. So they have extra time. And that's awesome. And I literally learned that like yesterday. Because you don't have to do that for every assessment. It does that for any timed assessment. So you're in roster, you click on roster, click on the student's name, and again, you have to delete the dash that was here. So you erase the dash, change the time limit multiplier, update info. If you don't erase the dash, it's going to say invalid. So it'll let you know that you didn't erase it. But that is how you would give a student extended time for any assessment that has a time limit in IMathAS. Okay, hope that answered that. Where am I here? Okay, so now I gotta make the link in Canvas. So I've made my assignment in IMathAS, but I have my links individually linked. I need to make that assignment link to Canvas. So what you're gonna do is create an assignment in Canvas. So I'll walk you through that. Here it's just you create the assignment. The main thing is that you want to change the submission type to external tool. Let me just show you what that would look like. This is a demo course here. So I'm going to preferably probably in a module. So I'm going to add an assignment. I want to make it a new assignment. Now you can add an assignment anywhere. You can add it in a module. You can add it in the assignments page and then put the assignment in the module. I like to work within where, when I'm adding things that I want students to see, I like to start where the students see them. So I know that they're in, I know that it's visible. So I know that in the template, we have everything on the modules page and the assessments page is not available for students. So I would start on the module page. I want to make a new assignment and then I'm going to call it whatever it is, give it a name and add item. So now I need to edit it. So there it is down here. I'm going to click on the item. I hear questions, but I'm going to see if Deanna's answering them and I'll open it up in a second. Come on. Okay. So now I'm going to edit this assignment. Right now, it's just a regular assignment. It's going to be a column on the gradebook, but it's not working how I need it to work. I need to make this link to IMathAS. So I'm going to click edit. And then I'm going to change the point value to the same point value that was in IMathAS, just so they are aligned and the same. My internet's going so slow. If you want to, give some type of directions, which is a great idea, you would type that here if this would ever pop up. There it is. You can type that there. That will appear at the top of the assignment in Canvas. You'd give it some point value. This is where you can tell it where you want it to go. So this is going to be, well, I don't have groups here. This is a demo course. So you would have your categories here. So you would tell it that, you want it to be a test or you want it to be a quiz or it's the final exam. Now, submission type. It's an external tool. So you would choose external tool. So now you're going to choose what the external tool is. So you would click find and then you would scroll down. I think if you tap this twice, yeah, you get it. IMathAS. So I'm an external tool. I'm choosing the external tool. It's IMathAS. And I'm going to select. Now, I personally like for assessments, like tests, I like for it to load in a new tab. And the reason why I like to do that now is that in Canvas, if you don't load it in a new tab for a test, then it's in the Canvas course, which is nice. But a lot of times when they get to the end of the test, they click next. They don't click submit. And when they click next, it kicks them out of the test. And it just creates a whole situation. So for a test, I like to load it in a new tab, and I'll show you what that looks like. So that way they don't even have a next Canvas button to click. They can only submit or save answers, and you tell them you want to submit their test. Give it a due date, save and publish. So now it is ready to be linked to IMathAS. So here it comes. So this is what it would look like for the student. So you would click load in a new window, and so now it is ready to be linked. Come on. There we go. So you don't want to do whole course placement because you want it to link to a specific assignment. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to choose the assignment that I want to link it to. So I want to link it to this particular assignment that I made. Make placement. And so to verify that you chose the right thing, you can preview assessment. And this is what the student will see. And you see what I mean? That it's just the assessment. So there's no next button. You just press submit. Sorry, guys. Okay, now something in terms of like lockdown browser. So in Canvas, the lockdown browser doesn't work for external tools with IMathAS. So using a lockdown browser for this assignment won't, help you with locking down the browser, unfortunately. If you have Canvas assessments like Canvas quizzes, the lockdown browser works much better for that. So I'm going to stop and see what questions we've got. Okay, I think we're answering the questions. Okay, let me see. Point values. Did the point values automatically upload in Canvas when you embed the assignment, or did you have to? Yeah, so the point values do not automatically load in Canvas. You have to tell Canvas what the point values are, so it knows what's supposed to be the maximum value, if that makes sense. Now, something that's kind of helpful is that even if the point values don't match, so let's say you made the Canvas assignment. Hold on. Sorry, Nikolai. If the Canvas assignment, say, was 10 points, and the IMathAS assignment was 10 points, but then you removed a question from IMathAS and it's 9 points. If a student gets 9 out of 9 in IMathAS, in Canvas, it's still going to compute that as 100% and put the grade into Canvas as 100%. So, but yeah, if just change the grade in Canvas, you have to do it manually when you create the assignment in Canvas to link to IMathAS. So looks like in terms of extra time, a student being sick, and you only want them to give them time for that one day or week. Yeah, so you, when you use the time limit multiplier, that is for the course. So that gives them the multiplied time limit for everything that has a time limit in that course. So there's no way to do it by the assignment. I can tell Canvas 100%. Yes, Lauren, you can tell them 100%. Okay, so more questions, and y'all feel free to talk if you want, because it's kind of awkward when it's just me. But I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so it doesn't look so weird. So this is my positive reinforcement. So for review, do I give points, then click on non-graded? Johnie, where are you, in what spot are you referring to? Oh, a review. Oh, thank you, John. That's a great. Okay, I think I know what you're saying. So let's say, so are you talking about an assignment in IMathAS that you want students to do and see their grade, but you don't want it to count towards their overall grade? Because I do that actually for reviews and things like that. Perfect. Okay, awesome. There is an easy way to do that in Canvas. So I'm going to go back to, let's share my screen and go back to my Canvas. Let's see. Okay. So I'm back into the assignment settings. So I'm in Canvas and I'm going to edit the assignment settings. So the box that says do not count this assignment towards the final grade. I like, okay, where to go? Yeah, I like that because it's good for students to see what their score is because they kind of understand, you know, a low score means that I don't understand. A high score means I do understand, but maybe you don't want it to count towards their grade. Just select this option and it actually tells them in the grade book that this doesn't count towards their grade. So that would be a good way to do that. Thank you for asking that. Wait a minute. Where did y'all go? Okay. Yeah, so even if they try the review several times, so if you have it set to where it is maybe skip around, well, yeah, whatever their grade is, whatever it is, it's just not going to count towards their overall grade. So whether you're having them, you know, have unlimited attempts, which is what I would do, it doesn't count towards their overall grade. Now there is a practice test option in IMathAS when you, I think it's the feedback settings, which is fine as well. And I use that sometimes. That just, though, the grade won't save in IMathAS either. So it just pretty much gives them the option to practice something an unlimited number of times, but it doesn't really save, you know, anywhere for them. It just gives them the option to retake it. Now, I'm leaving out some stuff, y'all. I'm not trying to make this like crash course was like literal, like really touch on things. I can, you know, if give me some feedback, maybe shoot me an email or something, or let me know if there's something in particular that some people would like to have more information on. I would be happy to help one-on-one, or if I feel like, you know, multiple people are wanting the same thing, I can do that as well. But I didn't want to overwhelm you guys because there's a lot you can actually do, but I just tried to pick things that I felt like would be most beneficial for the situation that we're in now, based on what you may or may not want to do with your courses. So Deanna, you give points in Canvas and then you can have a category that doesn't. Absolutely. So another option, yeah, is that if you want to have assignments that they get credit for, but you don't want them to count towards their overall grade, you can definitely have a category in Canvas that has a 0%. So they can even see what their overall percentage is for that category, but it won't be a part of their 100% that goes towards their overall grade. Thanks, Sam. You're awesome too, bud. So I will hang out here and answer any other questions that you guys have. I didn't even really look at the chat, so I'm sure Deanna held that down for me. But I'm here if you need me. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't feel like you need to be an IMathAS expert at all. I certainly am not, and I'm not going to be one this semester. But just know you do have options, and you can keep it simple, or you can or not. But just know that I'm here to support you, to get us through this. And oh, where's my little girl? I want to show her. Hold on. Where is she? There she is. We got this. So I'll hang out for a little bit, and then I will save the video and send it out later. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate y'all, wanting to learn more under such stressful times. My picture doesn't look convincing. That's like my, I was gonna say a bad word, or my bad, we got this cool as a cucumber face. That is not Lauren in the pic. No, ma'am. Mm-mm.
Johnie, I have a question.
Yes.
For our final exam, since most of us are probably going to be giving our exams through IMathAS now, is there a way that we can download the results since we have to keep copies, or as long as they're housed in IMathAS, we're going to be okay?
You mean the results? What do you mean?
Like, when we have a paper final, we have to keep the finals for so long in case of a grade grievance. So is there a way we can download? Because like in IMathAS, not IMathAS, my math lab, I can download scores and all that stuff. I can download that. Well, I guess it would be in my grade book. Never mind.
You can download it in IMathAS. You can download the whole grade book from IMathAS if you wanted to. It should be fine unless we have classes in IMathAS from probably about 5 or 6, 7 years ago, probably further, in like an archived account. So it should be fine, but you can save it through IMathAS, or you could even save the points that are in your Canvas gradebook too. But they should be there.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So Nina, for the final exam, can I change, delete, or add questions? So seeing as though you are, I know you're at Point Siena, so I'm not sure of the requirements for intermediate at Point Siena, but in terms of, so Deanna, maybe, I think Sam left. Deanna, can you answer Nina's question in terms of what she's allowed to do for the final exam? In terms of, do you have the capability to do it in iMath? Yes, you can, but I don't know. Okay, so if you, okay, cool, thanks. So Nina, yes, you can take the final exam in iMath if you want to use it and start with that, and you can remove questions, you can add questions. Changing questions can get tricky depending on what you want to change, because then you're getting into the coding and things like that. But my suggestion to make it easy would be you can definitely remove and add questions to your final exam. Yeah, I definitely agree, Deanna. It'd be easier to compare students' abilities and skills. We don't have a common final in intermediate at Osceola. I don't know if we're going to do that. We were doing the common assessment, but since with all this craziness, we're going to postpone that for the spring. But data is our friend, so it'd be helpful to use a similar one at y'all's campus. But I know at Osceola, not everyone is using the Canvas final anyway. I mean, the IMathAS final anyway. So we're not going to have the same final for intermediate anyway. Developmental will have the same final exam, but intermediate algebra, it's going to be all over the place. And there is a final exam in Canvas that exists if you would like to use it. It's in the prep course. Or, you could create the final. You could use TestGen. There's a lot of options. Okay. So you have options. Do you have any other questions? You can type it or shout it. And I'm going to send the slideshow to you guys. So I believe TestGen, there's a link to TestGen in the faculty prep course. in Canvas. Yeah. If that's not accessible to you, if it doesn't work, then we can get it from faculty members who are currently using it. But we have a file in the faculty resources course, the one that you're in now, to watch this conference. My son's TV is so loud. I don't know, girl. I appreciate you. I have no idea when the next one will be, because I don't even know what people will need. So maybe I'll send out maybe a survey to kind of get a feel for what people would benefit from having another session about. And I'd be happy to do that, so I can talk to y'all. But y'all have to get some mics, man. This is awkward when I'm the only one talking. That has to be the only thing y'all promise me.
We love you. You're awesome.
Well, I love you back. You have to get a mic. I'm not making you get a webcam, because I'm surely not using the webcam, because this working from home thing is, I am fully working from home. So, well, I appreciate y'all. Y'all, I really do. You know, this is definitely challenging, but we're a good team, so we'll get it. We'll get this, and we're gonna come out way more knowledgeable, way more innovative, and flexible. So this will be an odd silver lining, but definitely stay safe. And I'm here on email if you need anything. I'm trying, Deanna, to keep them busy. They're closing every single thing that you can do, but tell your kids I said hey too. You don't have any small kids. You only have one. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for everything, and I'm here if you need me. Bye.
You are now muted.